Hi, it's Ronnie here, and I'm out on a walk having a great time out in nature here in Glasgow, Scotland. And well, one thing I want to say is, one of the reasons I started this raw food diet lifestyle, it's called 80-10-10 fruit based diet, a few years ago, and it's all been a part of a whole program of development that I've been on for a long time now, where I've been doing different things and experimenting with different things to try and live a more happy life, to feel better, to feel happier, to feel more joyful, more sense of peace in every day. And the raw foods just came along and it was part of that, and it just fit in perfectly. Because when I'm doing this lifestyle properly and getting some sleep and getting out in nature and seeing friends and doing all the other things that lead to better health, I just feel really great. If I stop and think about it, I feel wonderful. But because it's maybe so, you get used to it or something, and then so you don't really appreciate it. And that's when a lot of people maybe start falling back and doing other things. And I've had a lot of periods recently when I've been eating probably far too high levels of fat, particularly things like nuts, and sometimes maybe tahini, and a bunch of other little experiments with. Sometimes you find like raw vegan foods, processed type foods that are still technically raw vegan in the supermarket, and so raw vegan bread and things like that made out of chia seeds and olive oil and lots of complex stuff like that. But when I get back to just doing the simple, the fruits and the bananas and keeping it low fat, it just gets back again to feeling this simple joy in life. And yeah, that's the main thing that made me want to keep going on this, was just that feeling of happiness. Not even the fitness and stuff like that, and I'm not a particularly fit guy, but I want to grow in fitness and develop more strength and flexibility and stuff like that. But immediately just the feeling of feeling really good, feeling connected to the world around you, feeling more clear. And I just feel like whenever I stepped back, for example, to cooked food, whenever I've experimented with high fat, I just come away from that a little bit, just a little bit. And it's not really worth it. But Ironclad Ben makes a lot of great videos, and he talks about having to learn a lesson again and again and again. And it's so true, And Doug Graham talks a lot about that as well, of making the same mistake over and over again, and also about the idea of wondering what it would be like to eat fruit for lunch and stuff like that, and not doing it until you've thought about it hundreds of times, So it takes a long time for these things to fit in and click in. But when I start eating the higher fat, or have done that, my productivity levels, my desire to do things starts to decrease, I feel. And I start to get like I've not got the brain power to deal with all the things that I'm trying to deal with. And since I've been on this fruit-based diet, I've just grown rapidly, and I've become more productive, and I do more things. And I do feel like the metaphor, like a fruit tree, like I'm growing outwards and growing more branches, and just growing upwards and outwards, and all these, fruits obviously are developing in all sorts of different places. And I'm just following that and giving into that and becoming part of that. But when I'm not doing it right, or starting to eat higher fat, everything just becomes a bit too much, So this lifestyle. Probably the best thing for me is the confidence that I've got from it, but to go out and do things and contribute and give back and things like that. But the productivity, the ability to just, the creativity, you know, and not just coming up with ideas but acting on them and then acting on another idea and then starting another thing and then, you know, and I've had to come out of my shell more because I'm doing things like putting on events and putting on the fruit festival. I have to start telling everyone about it, you know, and I don't really go about in my daily life and tell people to eat more fruit and things like that, but I kind of have to speak about this event more to people and put it on Facebook more and share it with my friends and send letters to people and send emails and say, you know, this is what I'm doing, this is what, this is what I'm doing now, and I need to really think, why did I start this? Because when you do this diet and lifestyle and you change and you maybe can't find anyone else in your area that's doing it, and you maybe feel alone and society doesn't really support you in certain ways, you know, it's you don't really feel, you maybe feel like you want to be quiet about it, like you don't or you wonder why am I doing this? You forget why you're doing it. That's the point I'm trying to make. You forget, it's easy to forget why you're doing it, and you're doing it because it's the best thing you've come across. And for me, if I look back on my life in terms of diet, I remember so many times thinking about food and what I should be eating and what's the best way of eating and experimenting with things and hearing about raw foods many times, and hearing about veganism, meeting vegans or meeting vegetarians thousands of times before I actually embraced that and did it. You know, so I think you've got to, you know, but what I'm trying to say is, I'm not going to necessarily, if I tell all these people, oh, I'm doing this, I'm probably not going to affect that many people right now, but it might be one touchstone on their life that they look back and they go, well, I remember that guy, you know, talking about it or telling me about some fruit festival event or whatever. So it's been great being part of this, and thoroughly looking forward to the fruit festival, and it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting to see how it all manifests, you know. But yeah, productivity, happiness levels, just the ability to just go out and do things, and having more purpose and joy in life, and all that stuff is in you already, but it's just that the food you're eating could be limiting that from expressing itself. So it could be a subtle thing, you know. Should you be 100% raw? Should you be 100%, I don't know, organic? Sorry, I'm just looking at my beard. All these things, but yeah, you should strive for the best, really. If you could eat fruit off the tree every day, organic, then that would probably be even better, you know, because you would be satisfying your connection with nature and your diet and your exercise and your being out in the sunlight. You'd be satisfying everything all in one go. So I'm having a great time out here on this walk, to be honest, and it's good to put some thoughts out there together. And yeah, I've just, you know, I've been on this too high fat sometimes, and it's not the same, you know. I might try and convince myself it's the same sometimes, and I don't mind a little dash of the fat, you know, but I do think there's a huge difference. I'm not an avocado guy, so I don't know how that fits in, but I would suspect that, and well, for a start, a lot of the people, the only person, I know that Ted Carr does the avocados and he's like totally 100% raw, but there's a lot of people who are doing the avocados and the high fats as well that are eating cooked food as well, you know. So I don't know if it really works. I don't know. So, well, what I'm saying is it's not really, you know, they're not. I don't know if other 8 to 10 people, if it works for them, I don't know. So, one thing I want to say is if you're thinking about converting to raw and staying on it and experimenting with it, the difference can be subtle between some cooked food and 100% raw. Difference can be subtle, and I think that's why a lot of people just don't have the motivation to do it, to go the extra way. There's a lot of people that are maybe really sick and various, you know, I've heard of people who any amount of, after converting to raw food diet, any amount of cooked food and their allergies and symptoms all started coming back, and a lot of people, despite that, still go back to cooked food. But a lot of people are, you know, it's enough motivation for them to stay raw. For me, I think it's a subtle difference, but it's enough, you know. And I'd had enough cooked food in my life. And really, after about 6 months or so, you won't really properly crave cooked food anymore. It won't have such a nagging control, you know, pull on you. You know, 6 months or maybe a little more, depending on who you are, and you're free of that desire for cooked food, and it just makes things easier because you're not having to use all the pots and pans and heating implements and all this stuff, you know. But same time, I'm not perfect, you know. I have pasteurised juices and dried fruit and tahini and nuts and things like that, so a lot of people classing them in the non-raw category. So, and I'm happy to accept that if that's the case, but huge difference between those and starches. Cooked any kind of cooked food, huge difference. Even if you're like cooking apples or tomatoes or something, there's something something different there. But as I'm saying, it's a subtle thing for a lot of people. They maybe only do it a couple of weeks and then they go back to cooked food for a couple of months. I never quite believe anyone that says I feel better than ever now that I've gone back to eating cooked food, you know. I never really believe that. I think that with raw food there's a lot of layers of healing and things going on, and some people go on raw food for a while or a year or whatever and they don't feel as good as they believe they used to feel in the past, you know, and it gives them another reason to go back to eating cooked food or other things. But and I've had times as well I've felt a lot of fatigue and whatnot, and I just kept going, you know. I just kept going on the path, and I just could never really justify cooked food in my mind. I tried watching the Dr. McDougall videos and believing I was a starchivore and all that stuff, but I just couldn't ever quite, and my body was telling me that too. It was just that any time I was eating cooked food, it was just like, no, I'm not going to stand for that. I'm not going to pretend that that was a good choice for you, you know. So yeah. But yeah, it's just so simple about happiness, joy, productivity, giving yourself the best, striving to give yourself the best, and that's a lot of why I stay raw as as I am, with the aforementioned additions. So, So I wanna ask those out there that are 100% raw, What was it that motivated you to go that extra mile? To stay? You know, talking to anyone that's done it for over, I don't know, 6 months. What's made you keep going that long or more? That's what I'm interested in. Why do some people want to go that extra mile, that extra bit, and some people are satisfied to go back? You know. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Speak to you later. Enjoy your life. Eat a lot of fruit as part of that. And spread the message of eating fruit and living healthily to everyone you meet that is open to it. And I'll see you at the Fruit Fest if you're going to be there. Bye.